report. You can see the change order summary report on your screen over here in front of me, and I also gave you copies of it in each of your packets. So Jeff, it's all yours.
Great, thanks, Scott. Wish could have been in there in person today, but this will have to do for one more meeting. So we've got our summary report. We call those up to about $50,000 this time. We've got a couple larger ones in there. I'll just hit those real quickly to make sure you have the information you need. So the first one is just wiring up a couple of doors that we've modified for the fire safety upgrades to make them more secure. The second one for Cherokee is just a door that's beyond its useful life. It will not open and close properly. It's an exterior door. You really need to put your shoulder into it to open that door, so it's time to replace that. The third one I did want to spend a little time on. This is part of the work we're doing this summer is we're replacing about 89 doors. And this is mostly at Algonquin, but also at Chippewa High School and Chippewa 9th Grade Center. So these new doors, the way it was specified would be typical of what your house may have, where you have 3 or 4 hinges on it. And what we want to do moving forward with all doors in the district is put a continuous hinge or a piano hinge that runs the entire length of the door. The reason for this is it just makes it much more durable. As you can imagine, you get a lot of the kids at the secondary level that bang into those doors over and over every single day. It does create wear and tear on those. So for just over $100 a door, it really extends the life of that door and that frame and that hinge and saves a lot of wear and tear and maintenance on those. So this will be done through a change order moving forward in future years. This will just become part of our standard spec to put a continuous hinge on all those doors.
Okay. So it wasn't in the original bid because as we started to look at the doors individually, we realized they needed different hinges and things like that.
Yeah, what's been happening over the years as Ken Howard and his maintenance crew have to do repairs. Mm-hmm. One of the things that they found when they do the repairs on doors that just are nagging issues is when they put the continuous hinge in there, it really saves. They really don't have to come back and do that repair again over and over again. So this was something that they found over time, and they've asked us to include that. So we weren't able to catch it in time for the bids that went out back in November. So we're catching up on it here by change order, and then moving forward, that'll just become a standard operation.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Great. The next one here, Mohawk Elementary swing sets are back again. This is a slightly different issue than last time. Last time we had to deal with some of the sets that weren't able to put on the new tandem type swing in the upper L area. This is in the kindergarten area. The existing swing set there is right next to the concrete, which is a code violation. We're not sure how it happened over the years. It probably goes back before my time here. I'm not sure if the swing set was there first or the concrete was there, but it really is too close to it. And the playground contractor pointed it out. And part of their scope of work was just to replace the actual seats and the chains on that. And they said they really can't do that because it is too close to the sidewalk. So what we're recommending is replacing that unit, which currently has 6 seats on it, with a smaller 4-seat set that would fit in there and give plenty of buffer between that and the sidewalk. And review this with the principal, and she was very comfortable that 4 seats would meet the needs of her kindergarten area.
So the reason for the increase is because we were going to just attach new swings, and we realized it was a code violation. And so now this is the cost for a full set, like a new set and the swings, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we had the seats and chains in the contract. This cost is for the frame itself to replace that.
Okay, thank you.
The next one at Erie is relatively. The next one at Erie is relatively minor. It's just there's a little bit of flooring that's at a couple door openings. As part of we're doing a major flooring upgrade at Erie Elementary. There's just a couple small areas that were still in good shape, but they didn't match with the new color scheme. So you'd wind up with a new color scheme and a couple old. If you know Erie Elementary's got a lot of teal in there. And while that was a great color maybe back in the 80s and 90s, it doesn't match with a lot of stuff nowadays. So we want to just replace those couple small areas in front of the doorways to match the new color scheme for the building.
Okay.
Here on Elementary, this is the largest one we did have here, and we've attached a memo to it also. Here on Lake Erie Elementary is getting the majority of the building flooring replaced. The only area that was not included in the bond to be replaced was the 2003 edition, which is a gymnasium addition and computer lab in the back of the building.
Right.
The reason being is when we put the bond together, the cutoff point was flooring that was 20 years or older. That's kind of the life expectancy of flooring. So the flooring back in that wing, back in 2016, 2017, when we were putting this program together, still had some life left in it because that building was opened in 2003. But right now, with all the flooring being replaced, it would leave just a small corridor back there. And you would see that from standing in the one corridor where the new flooring will be installed to the old one. And it would just look mismatched to have a piece of flooring that doesn't match. And our experience over years is even though like color line may still be out there, they change dye lots and make subtle changes every single year to freshen up their carpet lines. So we wouldn't be able to get a matching carpet if we waited 3 or 4 years from now. So we feel comfortable with the product coming in on budget originally and doing well on overall on change orders that we'd like to include that with this round of projects so it would all match and all be done at the same time so that we're not looking at this constant mismatch over the years.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure, Scott, if you want to go to the floor plan to the attachment to look at that, to reference it, or if it's pretty self-explanatory with the handouts you got.
Good with the handout. You guys want to see it on the board screen?
I'm good.
Or good, Jeff?
And what we'll be doing, that back corridor right now is all carpet. We'll be upgrading a portion of it to the sheet vinyl flooring because it does take quite a bit of wear and tear back there with the playgrounds being adjacent to it. So it'll give a little bit more room for runoff back there and extend the life of that flooring longer than if we went back with all carpet. And the rest of them were fairly minimal, but just since we do have some time, let's see, at Chippewa Valley High School, the athletic office, right now with the flooring we're replacing that's in bad shape, if we just did that, we would wind up with 3 different color carpets in that athletic office, just because that office has been remodeled at various times over the year, but it's never been fully renovated. So in lieu of seeing 3 different colors in there, the recommendation is to go in there and pick up the conference room and the other office that are, and I think the reason they haven't been replaced over the years is they've been used mostly for storage. So in lieu of moving that place out, it was just left there and not replaced. So we've got an opportunity to go in there and replace all the flooring so it's all matching and do it once and then not have to worry about it. Come back every 5 years, replace another small piece of it. We'll have it all good to go for 20 years. And then the last 2 will tie bar with each other. In the medical careers lab, we are replacing some cabinetry that was damaged by probably a roof leak at some point years ago. And adjacent to where we're installing that, they've got a large oversized sink, very similar to what you might have in a laundry tub in your house. So what they've asked us to do is we're gonna put this nice new cabinetry right next to it. They asked if they could upgrade that to a nice piece of cabinetry with an actual stainless steel sink to make it look more finished and not have that rough industrial sink right next to it. So again, we were on budget with the project. It was $12-13 million of the work. We felt it made a lot of sense to do that to finish the job and not make it look like it was left unfinished. So, and Brian, I smell like I know he can help. He was involved in all these with us. So if there's any other questions, we'll be happy to answer them. If not, we would be back to the board meeting, your next board meeting, to approve all these officially.
Hey, Jeff, just one more quick one on the swing set. So the footprint of the playground itself wasn't big enough to allow the move that swing over to make a 6 swing work, just too small of an area.
Yeah, with the other stuff in there, it really was, and I think you wind up with a little bit of you almost wind up with the same price tag by the time you move something over because you got to rip out all the foundations to do it. So it wasn't much of a premium to do it to make it fit in there. Brian, I know you looked at it too, right? You went out there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then Scott, if you kind of scroll down just a bit to the bottom, just to let you know where we're at tracking on the overall bond, you can see, not that, just the cost side of it, the very cost summary. So overall, we, between all the previous change orders and this one, we've spent about 100 grand of the contingency. We had over $3 million of it. So we've just really, again, scratched the surface of that contingency, which will be great as we get further into the bond towards the end of the program. We'll be able to look at some of the things that we weren't able to include in the bond and add those things in. But in looking at this is what helped us make the decision on Huron, is it's better to make the decision now, knowing that we're in good shape moving forward, and not wait till the end of the bond and then regret that we didn't do it when we had the chance to make all the flooring match. So yeah, we only spent, I did some math earlier, we've spent just over 4% of the bond contingency dollars, and we're well over 25% complete. So we're tracking in an incredible rate right now, in the good side of things. And you get your next meeting at 5:45. So if there's any
Yep.
questions, I'm here. If not, I can get you back on schedule.
Okay, let's go.
Any other questions?
I know I'm all set.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Have a good night.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bathroom sit-
Where?
oh,
Just make sure they can hear you.
Just testing my audio. Whoops, hold on.
Okay.
Okay, let me try that again.
I didn't think I was gonna start real estate, but I ended up starting today. That's why.
There's community comments.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I got Wednesdays and Fridays off this week and next. So obviously Fridays are no bad because the kids are in remote. This Wednesday's bad. How about the following Wednesday, a week from Wednesday? If it's not too much of a hindrance, Ron.
Sarah, can you hear me okay?
I think George, I think.
She said yes.
We're okay to go, Sarah? All right, I'm going to call the Technology Subcommittee meeting to order at 5:49. And we're going to review the bid pack 19T07, the audio visual equipment and storage. And I believe Angela from Metro Technology is going to review this bid for
Yeah.
us. So go ahead, Angela.
Okay, we have storage, AV storage replacing for Jim in the community relations, replacing the district's AVID video storage unit, which is about 10 years old. We'll be replacing it with Edit Share. Let me see if I can find the model number, EFS 300. And that comes integrated with 160 terabytes for storage and an additional 10 terabytes spare drive for backup. And yeah, and it integrates with, sorry, thank you. Thank you, Tom. Tom's helping me out here. Integrate with his current system. So it'll be an easy transition from the AVID to the new Edit Share. And what am I?
Includes 5 years.
Oh, 5 years storage, or not storage, but maintenance, hardware, software updates.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Talk about the bid.
And so yeah, it's a little over what we had projected. It's at 83,000. But he had some other,
Let me-
hold on. Tom's gonna hop in here.
Sorry, let me step in really quick.
Yeah.
So just so you know, Scott, do you have the recommendation letter or do they have copies of it?
They all have copies of it, yes.
Okay, so this actually was not put out to bid. We're actually purchasing off of the HPS Group Purchasing Consortium, which is really the same as REMSD. It's just a different group. The purchase was qualified through Laura Harrington and purchasing, and we are able to purchase off of that bid. So what this is it's replacing the 10-year-old SAN or storage area network that was purchased, I believe, in actually the 2010 bond. So it is end of life, so we can't even support it anymore. So this will be replacing that with a new SAN. It's a 5-year warranty end to end. The money is in the budget. We will have to move a little bit of money around within the community relations budget, but the money is there to accept the bid or to accept the award.
So are there any questions regarding the purchase of the equipment?
I guess, Tom, just to point out, since we are streaming this media, we say there was no bid. That's because it's through a program that is between many municipalities or perhaps school districts where they bid it, and then we're allowed to participate and take their prices if they're competitive.
Correct. Yeah, it's the Hospital Purchasing Consortium group, and AVI is also on the GSA, which is the government's General Services Administration. The HPS Group Purchasing ended up being less. So we're actually getting better pricing than the federal government.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else? Was there anything else on technology tonight, Scott?
No.
So good.
Okay, so if everybody's okay, then we'll bring this forward to the next full board.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
gave you some documentation that kind of outlines our requirements and also some other districts. We currently require a full 1.0 credit for PE in addition to 0.5 college. The state requirement is only 0.5 for PE and 0.5 for health. So we are currently requiring our students to have an extra half credit for what the state requires. Given the situation over the last year with COVID, we are recommending that we waive the extra half credit for this year's graduating class and next year's graduating class. And the reason is because we just want to remove all barriers to graduation. Additionally, with sports the way they've been and ban some of the options that students have that they would use in place of that half credit have not been
as readily available. So the first recommendation, and it would come as a motion to the board, would be to waive that extra 0.5, again, for this year and next year. Another option could be to waive it permanently. Currently, approximately 40%, just over 40% of our students tend to take the second PE requirement, that second 0.5, and the rest are able to waive out of it, either by participating in band or interscholastic sports, or because they have some health reason or need space in their schedule for other graduation requirements. To waive it permanently would give our students more options. We believe a number of students would still choose to participate in additional PE credit, but it would also open up other options for them. So what questions might you have?
I would like to, is this on? I can't.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'd like to make a couple of comments about this. Just kind of review what Walt said. We have some concern because of the COVID issues of making sure that all of our kids are in the best position to graduate this year. And if we waived PE this year, we still have our PE that is required of our students that's in line with most other school districts. So it's not like their kids would get less by doing this. It's really where they'd have a standard amount of credit in PE. The other thing is the issue of changing our graduation requirement on PE from 1 full credit to a half has been an issue that's been talked about for the last few years. This is not anything that's new this year. We've talked about it. And the reason this has come up, when we first began this with the high school graduation requirements, the modified ones, and I'll tell you, I can't remember the year they came into being, whether it was 2010, something like that. We thought that credit was important because of the use of our pools. But over time, the idea of 1 credit's kind of been eroded. And it's been eroded because the kids have few choices. Our students have few choices. That they're so locked into so many requirements that it really closes up their ability or their opportunity to choose something that is of high interest to them. And so they've also, over time, with some modifications we made, sports participation became a reason that you could earn a half credit. And there were different reasons that you could earn a half credit. Well, we just think it's time that we remove that barrier from students choosing things that they want to choose, as I said earlier, because their choices are so limited. So we think long-term, that's a good thing for our kids. And then we also have the short-term one. So I just wanted to add that, just to give it a little bit of a context of over time, how I've kind of had to deal with that issue. So thank you.
Any questions?
So what would be
Conversation?
the benefit of keeping it at this time?
I can't think of any.
Okay.
Keeping the 1.0 requirement?
Yeah.
Yeah, there really isn't. We just wanted, I think the plan is a little bit more transitional. But if the board thinks that that is a way to move, we can be prepared for that. So that's not a problem. Is that correct from our
Yes.
Ed Services? Okay.
And it looks like from your chart, if you were to eliminate the additional half credit, you pretty much align with everyone in the area as well.
Correct.
So are you looking for a recommendation from this committee, like the choice one or two?
That'd be great.
I would recommend choice two. I'm not sure how my fellow committee members feel.
I'm sorry, Beth, I didn't catch that.
Oh, I thought, sorry. I was asking if Walt wanted a recommendation from us. And I was thinking that probably, I would recommend choice two, but I wanted to hear from you and Robert.
Well, I guess choice two, though, doesn't address this year, right?
Choice 2 would be in addition to choice 1.
Oh, okay, so it's.
Yeah, so choice 1 is short term, choice 2 is long term.
I gotcha. Yeah, see
Yeah.
that, Beth? So it's kind of like both of them.
Oh, you have to do both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I thought it was one or the other. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm fine with both.
I'm
I
fine
mean,
with,
potentially we could do 1 and not 2, but what we're recommending really is
One
both
and
short
two.
term and long term.
I'm good with that.
And Robert, how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel good with that too.
Okay, we'll prepare a motion. Thank you. This
And would
is my first subcommittee, so I'm not quite sure how everything works, so I
Would
appreciate
you
the
like
help.
us to report out during, from, and by the board as well? Or do you want us to not say anything about this today
I think,
until you're until you have more of a plan in place?
let's do that. We can bring it as a motion to a future meeting, if
Okay.
that's okay with you, Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear then. So we're going to bring forward 2 motions then, and is one motion for the students who are graduating in 21, and then a separate motion that would be any students going forward 22 and on are as a half a credit.
Yes.
Is that correct? So it's 2 separate motions.
That's the
Okay.
way we'll do it.
All right. And then we could bring them on the same night?
Yes.
Just clear it all up. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody on that one. The second one is also impacts this year's graduating class. Our board policy 5460 reads that all high school students must attempt all parts of the Michigan Merit Examination in order to be eligible for graduation, unless otherwise indicated in IEP. Because of COVID, the testing that would typically happen in the spring didn't happen last spring. And then, so that would be the SAT, ACT work keys, and M-STEP. We did offer SAT as an option this past fall, but not all of our students took that option. So we need to waive this requirement so that our current graduating class can graduate. And this would be for this year only. So that would be another motion that we would bring to the board. Any questions about that one?
No, and just so I'm clear, so it wasn't even offered,
Correct,
these portions?
correct.
Okay.
Now, what does that test cover?
So the SAT is math, writing, primarily in writing in the content areas. Work keys, Mr. Sibley's more familiar with that one.
The SAT test does provide scores for different subject areas, but they embed questions using content. We do have English questions that are asked in a science format. The SAT is a college entrance exam for our students. So because it wasn't offered last year, our kids only had the optional test. The ACT work key is another part of the Michigan Merit Examination. The ACT work keys test asks more work-based skills questions and provides a score that employers can use for employability. And the M-STEP is the third part of the Michigan Merit Examination that is the state accountability exam for all of our graders. So the combination of all those 3 is the Michigan Merit Examination.
Okay.
And so the reason the graduation requirement in most districts is because the accountability measure is that districts reach 95% of all kids taking the exam, which, whether we agree with it or not, is challenging because not all kids see it as a beneficial test. But that's why districts then offer it as part of the graduation requirement to attempt the test.
Okay.
Any more questions about that one?
How soon would you like a motion on this requirement of the MME?
We can bring that to the next board meeting as well, if everybody's in agreement with that.
I'm in agreement,
Yeah.
Robert and Jill.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
I get one more question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Through all this, I guess one of the things that was a concern to me was we're kind of in a hard place here because the students are missing part of their education. It seems like the only way to make that up would be to offer summer school or some kind of additional schooling, which it seems to me as a student, they would look at that as a punishment more than a advantage. How would this fall into place with anything like that? Would this be depriving them of something that is serious, or how important? Well, I don't know if I want to use that word, but how does this affect later in life?
Not participating in this assessment?
Yeah.
It's my understanding that colleges have had to adjust across the nation. They're adjusting their admittance requirements because of COVID, because everybody's been in the same situation. So I don't know that not taking the test is going to have a long-term effect.
Okay. I mean, it's no matter what we do, it's probably not going to be a good thing, but I guess, yeah, I'd be okay with that.
And again, we would only be waiving the test requirement for this year's graduating class.
Okay.
And it's because they did not have the opportunity to participate.
Yeah, so there's really nothing we could do about it anyhow, right? Yeah, okay.
Okay, the third item is really an FYI and open to conversation. We have been in the process the last couple of years of refining our curriculum by looking at the standards and determining what's essential standards, which standards are essential. This is a process where we look at leverage, meaning which ones have the most impact in other areas, endurance, meaning which ones are most important long-term, and a couple other factors. We've started at elementary, but because of circumstances, we've also really started to get into English 11. And as we've looked at English 11, we've identified some adjustments that we need to make. But the way the state standards work, English 11 and English 12 are a band. So it's up to districts to determine which standards get taught at which grade. So as we've started to explore 11, we've identified the fact that we may also need to make adjustments to 12, which has led us down a road to look at what other districts are doing. And we've identified that many districts don't do it in the same way we do, which is fine. What we currently do is we have all students take English 9, English 10, English 11, English 12. Some other districts have created circumstances where there are choices for students. And the chart that I provided for you there shows how some have required courses at certain grades and then offer different elective courses at other grades. We are in the very early stages of exploring this, but there is a possibility that we might find an opportunity to offer more choice. The next steps would be to continue the process that we're going through with English 11 and 12, develop some potential courses which would go through our K-12 curriculum process, and then eventually come back to the board. But before we put that effort into it, because impacts graduation requirements, we wanted to kind of see if you had any insight or ideas about that. Students would still have to have 4 English credits. That's a state requirement. The difference would be, would everybody be taking the same 11 and the same 12, or would we offer some opportunities and choices for different ways for them to get those credits in 11 and 12? You may or may not have any ideas on it right now or opinions, but because it's related to graduation requirements, wanted to bring it to you before we continue to work on it. Any thoughts or questions about that one?
I have one, Walt.
Yes.
So regardless of how it's kind of divided up into courses, whether it's English 9, 10, 11, and 12, or it's 9 and 10 and options, or however it's done, there are state standards.
Yes.
So then so it's just a different way of kind of packaging those standards.
Yes.
And what it does then is it gives kids options on the English course that interests them. So they learn the same standards, but maybe in a different package,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
So if a student had more of a CTE focus and was interested in engineering kind of a thing, there might be an English option. Maybe it's technical writing or something like that. And all the same standards are embedded in that course. So then kids can make selections,
Potentially.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We're responsible for the same standards. You're absolutely right in the way you're describing it. It could be packaged differently, which may be nice for kids to have that choice. Right now, we do not have a tremendous number of choices in English as electives.
Which I think also could be fulfilling for a teacher,
Yes.
because then they can kind of teach an English class that they have a high level of interest in, as opposed to more of a homogenized English class. And I know they're all good, and good materials are picked out no matter which way we do it. And there's a little bit of a theme here tonight. It's student option. We're trying to free up some space for them to make some choices. And that's always been a criticism of the Michigan merit curriculum, is it's pretty lockstep. So between freeing up a little bit of space with a reduction of a half credit in PE, which may not seem like much, but it really is, and then trying to work on our English curriculum with more options at the high school, we just think that's a benefit to our kids and also a benefit to our staff. So.
Questions or concerns on that last one? All right.
I just have a question
Yes.
about the districts that you used as illustration. Why did we pick those? Are they because they're similar in size?
They're similar in size, and I think for most of them, an argument could be made that they do very well. That's a good question.
But one thing that stands out to me in that list is just size, like Birmingham, not Birmingham, that's a little bit smaller, but Ann Arbor, Lake Orion, Plymouth Canton, Okemos, Rochester, those are all, and Utica, those are all kind of large student populations. In districts that do well.
And we like to be compared to districts that do well.
Agreed.
Yep.
Always a good goal.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time and input tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Walt. So we have about 12 minutes before our meeting at 6:30.
Audio's up. Okay. Everybody good? I'd like to call to order the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education meeting for March 15th, 2021 at 6:33 PM. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we had some technical difficulties this afternoon on the sign-up list for folks that wanted to address the board. So we have come up with a plan so that we can still allow the public to do that. And Ms. Monier-White's going to explain that for us.
Thank you. Forms and office products had an outage about 4 o'clock this afternoon, so community members who wanted to sign up couldn't access the form. If you wanted to address the board this evening and did not have the opportunity, please email me at the email address on the screen, and I will send you the information to call into the board meeting. We'll provide about a 15-minute period to allow our community to get that in, and if you just send me your phone number and your name to this email address on the screen, we will make sure you have the opportunity to address the board. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll allow 15 minutes for anybody out there who would like to address the board this evening to contact Ms. Monier-White and get signed up. Okay, next up we have additions and deletions. We do have an addition this evening, so can I have a motion to amend the agenda? Moved by Mr. Sobal. Supported by Ms. Aquino.
Not on? Oh, they are on. Okay, I support.
Okay, I guess we don't have to do roll call vote now because we're in person. That's great. So, okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, can I have motion to add in motion G3, reconfirm the extended COVID-19 learning plan of March 3rd, 2021. Can we have a motion to amend the agenda to add that in?
I will make the motion to add item G3 in.
Moved by Ms. Aquino.
I'll support.
Supported by Mr. Sobal. Questions or comments by the board? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. All right, moving on to item C. Now, I think we're recognition and presentations. Mr. Roberts?
There are no recognition nor presentations this evening.
What about
Okay.
Ashley?
All right. Moving on to D, general consent agenda. Can we have a motion to approve the general consent agenda, please?
I'll move.
Moved by
Jill.
Mr. McZack. Supported by Dr. Andriasco. Okay, anything the board would like to remove, like to discuss further concerning general consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Ms. Pyden, I believe we have a retirement this evening.
We do. We have one this evening. Whereas Cynthia Sarr has served the Chippewa Valley School District faithfully and diligently for a period of 32 years in the food service, parapro, and clerical units. Whereas Cynthia Sarr, through her leadership, has had a positive impact on the staff, students, and the community. Whereas Cynthia Sarr, a conscientious, faithful, loyal, hardworking employee, has elected to retire. And whereas Cynthia Sarr will be missed by all her school colleagues. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District, not only on their behalf, but also that of the Superintendent of Schools and the administration, extend their thanks and appreciation for a job well done, as well as best wishes for the future. Be it further resolved that this resolution, having been adopted by the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District on the 15th day of March 2021, be made a permanent part of the records of the school district and a copy sent to Cynthia Sarr as an expression of our appreciation.
Congratulations.
Okay. congratulations and best wishes in your retirement. Thank you for your service. All right, this time, I don't know how the board wants to proceed, but we wanted to give the community 15 minutes to sign up on the sign-up list to speak to us. So do we want to take like a 5-minute recess, or do you want to continue on the agenda and then come back around on community once the 15 minutes is expired? I'm open to.
I think we continue.
Anybody
And then we
object
can
to
what
moving
about-
on?
What about the two people that are signed up?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Ms. Monier White, the two folks that did sign up, are we able to speak with them? So we got there's about 33 when we made the announcement, so 48. We've still got 10 minutes yet.
Well, yeah, because that's 5 minutes each, so at least that'll give them
We got
time.
one of them. Okay, we'll
Only one.
go ahead and start with what we got.
See
And
how
if
it goes.
you need just to sit for a few minutes, take a recess till
Mhm.
time, then we'll do that.
Right.
And then before we do begin the community comment section, I always run through our rules that the board has set up for community comment. I just want to run through those as customary. Okay, as far as public participation at board meetings. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 5 minutes duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. Complaints against identifiable school personnel may not be expressed in an open meeting. Such complaints should be first submitted in writing to the board and aired in open or closed session according to the wish of the persons involved. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Request any individual to leave the meeting when the person does not observe reasonable decorum. Call for a recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. The board may waive these rules with approval of the board when necessary for protection of privacy of the administration or the administration of the board's business. So those would be our rules. And I see Mrs. Monier White, we do have one of the community members who wants to speak with us right now already.
We do. We have Kristen Murray on the line to address the board.
Okay, Ms. Murray, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Please proceed.
Okay. So I want to say thank you for allowing me to address you all this evening. I want to start off by saying this is my second Board of Education meeting that I'm speaking at this evening. I first spoke to the board on August 24th, 2020, and expressed my concerns of remote learning and how I felt it would not work for my son. After this meeting, I made a promise to myself that I would never speak at another board meeting again. I left that meeting feeling unheard, except for by one board member who tried to get answers to my questions, in which no other board member backed her in my concern. I figured it was okay that I wasn't heard by all of you. I had other outlets that my voice would be heard, so I would just pursue those. So why am I back tonight? A little about me. I have now served 2 years on the PTO in my son's elementary school as PTO president. I have been a very active member in my school community and a strong advocate for students, teachers, staff, and have been a loud voice for our special needs community. I have also been nominated by my building's administration to serve on what's called the Citizens Advisory Committee, commonly known as the CAC, for the past 2 years. I'm sure all of you are familiar with PTOs and their function. I would like to give you all a bit more details about what happens at the CAC meetings. I believe I was asked to take part in these meetings because, like I said, I'm a very active member within my building who continues to build stronger connection between families and staff at our school, as are all the members that are part of the CAC. Bi-monthly, Mr. Roberts and other members of administration sit down with the CAC members. The members consist of one parent from each building and normally last approximately 2 to 3 hours. In these meetings, parents are in discussions with the administration on various things, which have included bond issues, school safety, school technology improvements, and I'm sure, as you can guess, this year's main topic has been COVID and the impacts it has had on our communities. every attendee at the meeting usually speaks. This year has been a very mixed bag of opinions. There are members who want full-time face-to-face. There are members who like the hybrid approach, and others who do not feel it is the time to return to the classroom. Every parent is represented in some way through us. Currently, there are 20 plus members of the CAC who represent their respective school. Then, the next morning, I also sit in on what's called PTO presidents meetings, which consist of PTO presidents, vice presidents, secretaries, and treasurers. These meetings also last about 3 hours. This group is open to all of them, so usually in these meetings there could be up to 40 plus members. So that is at least 60 plus parents from the district in the meetings bi-monthly with the superintendent. The CAC and PTO presidents meetings were going on long before COVID and will continue once COVID is under control, because the administration of this district does care about what we all have to say. So you can all imagine my surprise at the last board meeting when allegations were made that parents have not been consulted in any return to school plans. To say I was angry is an understatement. So angry that I broke my promise to never speak at these meetings again. These allegations are completely untrue and quite honestly reckless. In every CAC meeting, PTO presidents meeting with the administration gives us all time to speak with no time limits. We have conversations because it's smaller groups, and we brainstorm ideas of how to improve things going forward and what we would like to see going forward. The allegations that were made have discredited the at times 6+ hours that I have committed to this district outside of my normal PTO duties, and it discredits the hours the administration has taken to make sure we are heard. I am asking, before making such allegations or any allegations are made, to do a bit of due diligence and trying to find answers.
Mrs. Murray?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Murray. This is Mr. Bednard. I really can't have you speaking about what some other group has said or alleged towards the board. If you have something you want to speak to the board about, like what you've done to support, how maybe how those were wrong, but to refer to the allegations about what somebody other, had told the board, that would be inappropriate. So please just discuss that with the board. If you
I apologize.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. I just would like you all to know that parents are being consulted. They have been being consulted. And I guess I'll be done here because there were some other comments that I would like to make tonight, but apparently they are inappropriate.
Maybe I can help you. Just speak towards what has been done that would disprove that. You spoke about time you spent 6 hours and so on. Tell us about that. That'd be great. We'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, we sit down, we discuss school improvements. In regards to COVID-19, we have discussed the impacts of mental health. The administration sits down and asks us personally how our kids are doing, how kids what we're seeing and hearing from parents within our communities. So we are being heard. It might not look exactly how you would imagine it, but the discussions that are being had, it is important that it is happening in smaller groups, so that way conversations can happen. When in big town halls, it's a great for everybody to be heard, but if everybody was heard and discussions were being had, that would be just hours and hours and hours of a meeting that none of us would be able to sit through. So I just want to make it known tonight that parents are being spoken to in the district. And I guess that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Murray, thank you so much for your comments. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I think we could hear what you're trying to tell the board. So thank you again for sharing your time with us this evening. Okay, Ms. Monier White, do we have any other folks that are on now that we could hear from? Nobody at this time. So we have one more minute, and that'll be that 15-minute
What
sign
about
up.
the second person that signed in? They're not here?
There's no.
They have not joined the call at this point.
There's nobody else.
Okay, oh, okay.
Okay, we're just gonna wait, board, 1 minute here while we wait for the deadline to hit, and then we'll continue on with our meeting if nobody else from. On your way, were we able to, we never heard back from the other person who had signed up?
I have not heard from that second person who signed up,
Okay.
and I have not received any additional requests at this point.
Okay. 6:48. If somebody does show up, Ms. White, please let us know, but I think looks like we're gonna be good there. Okay, we'll move on to F, old business. There is none this evening. Moving on to G, new business. G1, approve the 2021 summer tax collection agreement for Charter Township of Clinton and Township of Macomb. Mr. Sutherland.
So recommended motions that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve the intergovernmental agreement between Chippewa Valley Schools and the Charter Township of Clinton and the Township of Macomb for the collection of the 2021 summer taxes on Clinton Township and Macomb Township parcels. Authorize the costs to be prorated between the general fund and debt fund. Authorize Board of Education officers, superintendent, and assistant superintendent for business and operations to execute agreements as appropriate and waive the reading of the agreements.
Motion, please.
I'll move. Jill.
Moved by Ms. Exec. Support? Support by Dr. Andriasko. Okay, rationale, please.
Each year, the district must go through the legally prescribed procedure for collection of summer taxes. Chippewa Valley Schools requested that Clinton Township and Macomb Township collect summer taxes for the district in 2021. For 2021, the fee for Clinton Township is $1.80 per parcel, which is the same fee as last year. The district will collect 17 cents and 15 cents per parcel from the Macomb Intermediate School District and Macomb County Community College, which will offset against the total per parcel cost. Macomb Township has raised their collection fee to $3.31 per parcel from $1.75 per parcel. The increased cost per parcel will be split by the district, the MISD, and MCCC. Therefore, the district will collect 69 cents and 67 cents per parcel from the Macomb Intermediate School District and the Macomb County Community College, which will offset against the total per parcel cost. Not collecting summer taxes will have a significant impact on the district's cash flow and would result in the district borrowing up to $12,500,000 with a significant borrowing cost.
Questions or comments by the board? Mr. Soba?
So didn't Macomb Intermediate used to collect Macomb Township's taxes for us?
They did. That ended in 2011, I believe.
Do they no longer do that?
They no longer do it. They thought it was too cost prohibitive.
Okay, thanks. I remember we used to go
Yeah.
with them because Macomb Township was high. And now with this increase, but
I tried. I called Paul several times at the ISD. He doesn't want to get back in the tax collection.
I think it's, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm done.
Ms. Guido?
Thank you.
I guess I'm just kind of wondering, they almost doubled the cost. So it's just, it's unfortunate that this happened like suddenly. There's not even a small increase. And it's just unfortunate to me that they are doing this, so quickly and doing so much at one time. So it's disappointing, but we need to collect our taxes. So what choice do we have? Do they don't have to justify why, he said he had to hire more people, right?
Correct.
Right, okay.
And Mr. Sutherland, did I understand correctly when you said that we were going to recoup a portion from the community college as well as the ISD for the collection?
Mhm.
That is correct. So
So,
the increase is somewhere around $1.50 per parcel, and we're going to split that increase 3 ways. So each of us will basically get about a little over 50 cents per parcel increase.
okay, thank you.
Other comments by the board? I mean, I want to go on the record saying just so it's clear here, it was $1.75 a parcel
Mhm.
up till this moment. Now they're telling us they want $3.31 per parcel.
Yep.
And the thousands of parcels, that adds up to quite a bit of money for the township to run their tax collection department. I certainly understand that, it costs more to do business. People got paid, benefits cost more, on and on. But, this is substantial.
Yeah.
Substantial. No, is Clinton Township now going to say, hey, look, Macomb did it, let's do it? And we're stuck because we don't have any other ways or means to collect taxes. So, I mean, we have to pay in this money because there's no other way for us to get that $12,500,000. So it bothers me that it's getting presented to us and we have no choice like this. So it'd be like
Right.
saying, we have our baseball diamonds we let the townships use in the summer, and it costs us more for custodial use. So that way we're going to pass that on to you. We're sorry about that. But if you want to use those diamonds, so enough on that. I understand we're caught in a position. We got to have them collected, but I just don't think it's very fair. This substantial does not seem right. So.
Frank?
Yeah.
I live in Macomb Township, so does Jill. We're the only two that, it's kind of disappointing, given the fact that we've had our challenges over the years. Macomb Township has never really been one to cooperate with intergovernmental type, situations with us. And for some reason, Clinton Township's always just been more engaged. So it is what it is. Like you said, it's unfortunate, but what are we going to do? We have to collect taxes. So,
Very disappointed
yeah.
in Macomb Township.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments by the board for you? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. A little different. We haven't done this in about a year. So, anybody opposing, nay? Okay. Motion passes. Moving on to the next motion. G2, approve first reading to consider new Board of Education bylaw 155.5 terms of reference technology committee and new Board of Education bylaw 155.6 terms of reference operations committee and revision to bylaw 155.1 terms of reference building and site committee and bylaw 155.3 terms of reference curriculum committee. It is the recommended motion that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve the first reading to consider the new Board of Education bylaw 155.5 terms of reference technology committee and new bylaw 155.6 terms of reference operations committee and to revise bylaw 155.1 terms of reference building and site committee and bylaw 155.3 terms of reference curriculum committee and waive the reading of the bylaws. I have a motion.
I'll move, Frank.
Moved by Mr. Sobal,
I'll
support.
supported by
Beth.
Ms. Pyden.
Mhm.
Okay, rationale, these board policies need to be revised to reflect current Board of Education committees. All right, questions or comments about the first reading here? So it takes 2 readings, this being the first. It was just something where we were making committee assignments that we had noticed that we had added a technology committee some years back and we had not put any terms of reference in for that. So we just want to get our bylaws up to speed. That's what this is doing. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed by nay? No opposition? Motion passes. First reading is good. Okay, moving on to G3.
G3 is our second. Okay, G3. Reconfirm the extended COVID-19 learning plan of March 3rd, 2021. Mr. Roberts.
Recommended motion that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education reconfirm the extended COVID-19 learning plan of March 3rd. This plan meets the number of hours required of Public Act 0303 of 2021.
I will move.
Moved by Mr. Quino,
Support.
supported by Mr. Sobo. Rationale, please.
By reconfirming this plan, Chippewa Valley School qualifies for additional funding per student. Reconfirming this plan at each meeting is a requirement of Public Act 03 of 2021.
Questions or comments by the board?
I guess I just have one. So I'm sorry, this is new that we have to do it at each meeting? Well, I'm confused.
Yeah, well, this is the recent legislation that the governor signed, and I
Okay.
believe she signed it last week. And as we know, with each piece of legislation that comes forward, we have new rules,
Okay,
and this is one of them.
so this is something we're going to be doing at each
Every meeting.
Okay,
Every meeting.
I was just wondering why it was added.
Change, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Other questions, comments by the board? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Opposition, motion passes. Okay, H, union communication. Do we have any union leadership that'd like to address the board this evening?
So we have Mrs. Levine on the call.
Okay, yes. Hello, Ms. Levine.
I'm good, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Marianne. Please proceed.
Or she doesn't want to talk.
Oh, she sound good. She says she wants to speak.
I think she was saying she doesn't need to address the board.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. All right, moving on to I, administration reports.
Sure, we have a few things this evening. We're going to start with, you see, we listed a topic for discussion on here that was brought forward to both Mr. Bednard and to myself as a topic of discussion, and that's streaming of our Board of Education meetings. And this topic really refers to when we return to our normal existence and we're in our boardroom. So I'm going to turn it over to Robert at this time, and he has some comments he'd like to make.
Yeah, I guess I was just looking at, right now, we're still streaming the meetings. And I brought it up a couple other times. That I've had a lot of people talk about it's easier if we can have the meetings recorded or televised or whatever. Right now, we are doing it. And a lot of people are liking that. They don't have to actually be at the meeting to see the meeting. A lot of people have different things going on. They can't make it to the meeting. So I have talked to technology. They said that it's possible to do that. And I thought that since we are heading toward that, where soon we're going to be back in the boardroom and everything else, maybe we should start looking into what it would take to keep the meetings televised or videoed or YouTube or whatever, so we can keep doing what we're doing. I don't know if we have to take a vote or what we'd have to do to try and look into that, or
First,
Other comments by the board regarding this?
I have no problem doing it. As you know, the community will be at the meetings like they used to be, correct? So it'll just be either showing it live or, I would probably prefer it be recorded and then available later, but I mean, I certainly am willing to discuss live. It doesn't, I'm fine with that either way. As long as we tape it and show it, I think that's fine.
Other comments by the board?
Yeah, great. We've discussed it before, but I mean, it's just a matter of cost. So I'm not against it at all, but I think we have to
No.
look at how much the options are going to cost.
Right. That's a good point, Jill.
So,
Thanks.
because we have, additional people here that aren't usually at meetings. which, and like I said, I'm against it, but there are costs involved in the options that we'll have. So
Soba?
I just wanted to agree with Joe. We looked at it before and I think the costs were an obstacle for us in the past. But I don't know if those costs may have come down now in light of everything else that's been going on. So definitely we need a cost for that.
Can I make a comment?
Wojtovich.
I did talk to technology and they said that right now it's possible to do it with the same equipment we have. If we wanted to take it to the next level, there would be an additional cost, which we could take it to all different levels, I guess. I mean, we could get a whole TV crew in if we wanted to. But that would be something we'd have to look into, maybe talk to technology and see exactly where we want to be and how we want to do it, what level we'd want to do it at and things like that. That's, I guess, what I'm thinking we should start looking into now.
I say, let's look
Yeah,
at it.
I think everybody's in agreement. I think they just want to see what it might look like cost wise. So Mr. Roberts, maybe you could talk with Spanier White and by next board meeting have some kind of idea for us to talk about discussion. I don't think
Options.
anybody's opposing it, just wants to see that's affordable. And I'm sure, as Mr. Wojtovich said, that he spoke to Ms. Spanier White and thought maybe it's been a while since we discussed it. Perhaps, as Mr. Sobal said, those prices have come down. So, or maybe we've acquired equipment that we didn't have before that is conducive to doing that also. So yeah, we can get a report back. Ms. Pyden?
I just have a question about procedure for Mr. Wojtovich in terms of what was he envisioning in terms of community participation?
As far as
Would people be required to be here to address us?
yeah, this is going to be full on board meeting again.
So community comment would not be happening virtually like it did
community
this
comment
evening?
would continue to be remote.
No, I don't agree with that.
So I guess, so I understand this right, we're talking about when we go back to traditional board meetings in our boardroom
Correct.
with the public present, when we have an audience presence.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
That's fine.
that's when we're talking about streaming.
Right. And
But they wouldn't be able to
community
call in for
participation
comments.
would have to be in
No,
person.
there is no community comment allowed to be called in remotely.
Okay.
Once we allow people to have a ability to come in person, then
Right.
they have to report in person.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. I should, Bob, you catch all that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking about. If you wanted to speak at the meeting, you'd have to be here.
Right.
Or send in a letter or something like that. But I mean, otherwise, to be able to see the meeting, if you wanted to, you could view it on YouTube or stream it or television, whatever.
Okay. So yeah, once we have an audience again.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Roberts, anything else?
I would just add that an important person in the development of this would be Diane Blaine, our Director of Community Relations. So between technology and community relations, we'll meet and we'll consider some options to bring back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, administration reports. You had other subjects this evening, Mr. Roberts?
I do. I have a couple of things. In fact, this was brought to me by Mr. Wojtovich about some students that came across email, and he thought it'd be nice to highlight these students in our board meeting. So I chose to do it under this section of our agenda, administration report. So we have some slides I think we're going to be able to throw up. Is that correct? And I want to talk about these students. They were just recently, they're from Dakota High School. They recently, 2 of the 3 received some honors through the Scholastic Art Awards. So is our first student Samantha Schneider? Okay, Samantha is a senior, and Samantha will be going to the College for Creative Studies next year.
Wow.
And she's worked real hard in her craft. In the last 2 summers, she's spent in auto design.
Wow.
Through a summer program at CCS. So she will. This was her. Let's see, what award did this get? Samantha's was. This was a Scholastic Silver Key Award in the Architectural Industrial Design category, and that was the purple card that you saw up on the screen. So that's an example of some of Samantha's work. And all this comes from Cynthia Helvey, who is an art teacher at Dakota High School. So that's one of our students who was awarded. And the next is Ashley Royster, and she won the Scholastic Gold Key and an American Visions nomination in the painting category. And Ashley is a junior, and this was her piece that she painted.
Wow.
I first looked at this and thought that was a photograph.
Me too.
It's so well done. And by submitting this, you know, she's been nominated for other awards, the American Visions nomination. She also wins a, if she chooses to go to Wayne State, a $4,000 scholarship to go. And she won $150 for art supplies. She also did something miraculously proud. I don't know her brother, but she got him to stand still for quite a while, and she's probably pretty proud of that. And she is a student in our CVVA program. So she's been instructed remotely all year, and so this is her piece of work, which was highly regarded. And I think I have one more. Mrs. Helvey was very proud of this last one if we were able to get it in. We were not able to get it in. I want to mention it. I'll email it to you tomorrow. It was a student in 9th grade named Mackenzie Cohn. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong now. I'm sorry, Mackenzie, if you're listening. It's Koehn. And she was so inspired by an assignment in the class that she did a complete model of her grandfather's childhood home.
Wow.
And I'm sorry I don't have it. It came in at the last minute, but I will email it to our board members tomorrow. So I just wanted to recognize those 3 students for their hard work. And I know Mrs. Helvey was extremely excited to send us information about them, because you can imagine, to an art teacher to have students that are so inspired in art class, that's meaningful to any instructor. So I just want to congratulate those 3 students. I also tonight want to just talk about where we are right now in our instructional plan. So as the board knows and our community knows, this is our 2nd week of elementary in a full face-to-face, with Fridays being remote. So they're Monday through Thursday on traditional days. And this is our start. Today was our first week of secondary in a full face-to-face in an abbreviated schedule. So they leave a little bit earlier during the day. So I was able to spend time last week at the elementary level. And there is a whole lot of excitement on the part of our students and our families to have their kids in school to this degree. So that was great to see. Our elementary kids are so amazingly compliant with wearing masks. I just see it as part of their daily attire that they put on to go to school. It's unusual, but people have a way of adapting. And I want to recognize our staff. I referred to it last week as the 8th first day. And first days are tough on teachers because it's all about organization, and you end up talking more than you like to talk. And so they've gone through first days remote on a computer. They've gone through first days twice in a hybrid, and then they went through a first day. And I went into some classrooms, and it was very different because they now have twice as many kids, and it's not just the sheer number, it's the difference. So again, it's a new first day. Now, secondary started today, and I could not get to buildings this morning. That will have to wait. And I will, administration reported a lot of excitement on the part of their students to be there, and some excitement where in our modern world, kids forget that it's the modern world and not the old world. And when they see their friends they haven't seen for a while, they like to hug them, which is a pretty natural human thing to do. And so those are some things they need to work on, because that's no longer part of safety protocols. And just things like the parking lots and hallways and that type of thing. I would not be truthful in talking about this to if I did not mention that there is definitely some anxiety on this part of some students. I've had students reach out to me. They've reached out to other administrators at central office. I've had a few phone calls and a few more emails about things. And fortunately, as I work with people who can get things done very quickly, and working with ed services and building administration, we've directed students to that level, because in anything we do, that's where issues need to be resolved at the level closest to it. So building administration has already communicated with students. They've sent out emails to their seniors who have the highest level of concern, I think. And part of the senior concern is some of those things which are typical to seniors. And some are a little bit heightened because we live in the world we live in right now. But to high school seniors, it's things like some of the, graduation and what the ceremony will look like, and is there going to be a prom, and so that's some of those things. We are working on a wonderful graduation, but the prom is up in the air, and there are so many things in that we can't control. So, but administration is meeting with individual students. They're meeting with groups of students in order to help just decrease their level of anxiety. So I think today, probably for kids, it's been almost a year. In fact, tomorrow it is a year. March 16th of last year was our first day out, and this is March 15th today, and they went back today. So it was a new experience for our students to go back and be there with all of their classmates. So we do now know, as we watch COVID, the numbers, there has been a slight uptick in numbers. We're paying attention to that. We're always paying attention to that. We always will. We're also paying attention to the impact on us here. And as I've said numerous times as we've gone to this part of our plan, that the most important consideration is the fact that COVID is not spreading in schools. It is not, it's been shown not to, but we will continue to pay attention to that because that's very important. But we also know that probably one of our biggest challenges to deal with is quarantines. So we're also paying attention to that. That's an important consideration. So that was kind of my update on that. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I just have one comment, I guess, is that I am, of course, want to make sure that students that are quarantined have support that they need to be successful, because I think it's going to be an ongoing challenge over the next 2 months for sure, and hopefully in the fall it isn't, but I don't think we know completely what the future holds at this point. So I'm hoping that whatever we can do to provide consistency we can accomplish.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roberts. Moving on to J, curriculum updates.
I think we covered those in a subcommittee meeting this evening. So
Okay.
So no, we have no others.
All right. Okay, oven by board members. Anybody by the board that'd like to speak? Ms. Pyden.
I just want to remind everyone that even though we cannot physically go in classes, it is still March's reading month.
Right.
So you might have some people reach out to you to share your favorite story via Zoom, Teams, whatever sort of electronic medium the class is comfortable with. And so I had the pleasure of doing that this morning at Miss Nelson's class and at Sequoia. And I will tell you, it is definitely not the same. I miss the hugs and high fives, but it still made my heart very full to get to share a story with second graders.
That's great.
What book did you read, Beth?
I read Rosie Revere, Engineer.
Awesome.
I like it.
Okay.
I have
The questions by the board.
I would just say I also submitted a video.
Excellent.
Bruce's big move.
Awesome. Okay. Mr. Soba.
Not a long reading month. I just wanted to thank the administration and the staff for all their hard work and all their dedication to get us to where we're at, getting kids back in the classroom and the face-to-face instruction. We all know how important that is. So thanks for all your hard work and everything you guys all have done.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I
Sequino.
do have a question. Yeah, I definitely ditto what George has said. Our staff has taken a lot of slings and arrows this year. And they have worked tirelessly to get us to this point, and I greatly appreciate it. And I know the community at large appreciates it too. I was wondering, I'm curious, this is a curiosity, and I'm not even sure we can gather this metric, but percentage of like the herd immunity thing, like, do we know like what percentage of our staff is vaccinated? I don't know if we can get that information, but if we can, it's just something I would love to see. I'd like to acknowledge student participation in our board meetings. The last meeting that we had students speak. We had emails from students. And I know that there was some criticism from some parents and things like that, that they shouldn't be included. But this is not my commentary necessarily, but our board has always encouraged students to be engaged in meetings or meet with our superintendent or speak when they wanted to speak. And I support and will continue to encourage that. I believe that students that are young adults and are affected by our decisions should definitely have a voice. Doesn't mean we're going to be able to comply with all of their concerns, but I still think it's good for them to have a voice. And I, as a board member, will continue to encourage them to do so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other comments by the board? Open by the board. Okay, last, I guess, I'd just like to also, with my fellow board members, thank the administration for all the work they've done on this, and it's been a moving target for you, and, we've all took our hits this year. Nothing, could have prepared us for this, as we've said many times. But we're here. We've made it this far. We're into a full-on face-to-face, and could have done it without our staff, all our staff's work, and especially your work as administrators to put those plans together. One thing I had sent an email out, I think some of you might have saw it last Friday night. I know that is excluded from some of the Dakota teacher groups about Ms. Helvey and her students' drawings and so on. And I said, we've been through so much negativity in our society in general this past 8-10 months, whatever, that we just need to share our positive things. We are so blessed in Chippewa Valley schools to have so many positive, awesome things that happen day in and day out here that we need to hear about. We need to share that with our community too, because it's just been that negative shade. And maybe now that things hopefully are going to be better with COVID, vaccines are ramping up. Hopefully our schools, we're not going to have this big problem with quarantine. If we do, we'll deal with it. But maybe now it's time to start that positivity coming into the spring. We're refreshing the year. We have seniors that are going to graduate here from Chippewa Valley schools this year. It's been a unique experience for everybody, but I think it's now more than ever in our schools, we need to express how many positive things we have here in this community. What a great community we have. So I just wanted to end with that.
Absolutely.
All right, anybody else? Okay, moving on to L, adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Sobal,
Support.
supported by Mr. Wojtovich. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay? None. Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned at 7:21 p.m. Thank you.